Got 8 eggs. I ordered 6. They said they would send extras, and they did. They were good to their word on that. But we are trying to get some brothers and sisters for our little single chick. And Jep has named him Pita Pata. So we told Jep he could name it, and that's what he named it. So anyways, we're trying to get some brothers and sisters for Pita Pata. And the other thing about Pita Pata that we may not know, we hatched blue and black. There was a combination blue and black copper Morans in those eggs we got. I didn't read the description well enough when I ordered those eggs. So there's a possibility he's a blue, and as light as he is, that's what we kind of think Pita Pata might be. And we don't know if it's a rooster or a hen. The eggs, I should say. I said chicks. The eggs are in the incubator. So, and we're just excited now. Now it's just wait 21 days. All right, guys. So it is now getting ready to be chick season, and I know a lot of people are going to get day-old chicks from a hatchery, but there are other options as far as getting chicks. So one of those options is incubating your own chicks from maybe your own flock or from a neighbor's flock. Oh, I've got some tips if you are wanting to incubate your own eggs this year and get your own chicks from that way. I've got some tips on how to do that. So the first tip I've got is the fresher the eggs, the better. So if you have a local source for hatching eggs, that is probably going to be your best bet. Now, you can get eggs from eBay, and breeders a lot of times will sell you eggs. There's going to be a little higher in price, and you're assuming a lot of risk when you do that. Now, it can still be done. We just hatched a set of eggs from eBay. We did not have the greatest hatch rate, and we're working on our second batch from eBay. We're trying to do things more by the book, not as hurried, and hopefully we won't have a power outage and other contributing factors that probably made our hatch rate really low. But the fresher the eggs, the better. If you do get eggs that are shipped in, make sure you let them rest with tip down or point down in an egg carton for somewhere in the neighborhood of 8 to 12 hours at a minimum. And then you can go ahead and put them in your incubator at that point. The second tip I've got is if you're new to incubating and you're just going out and buying your incubator this year, set it up, get it set up, and let it run. It doesn't hurt to turn it on well before you're ever going to put your eggs in there. See how much that temperature fluctuates. If your temperature is sitting there fluctuating up and down, it's probably because the surfaces inside your incubator are not warm yet, and so there's a lot of fluctuation in there. So you want to let it get nice and warmed up before you put the eggs in there. I think that is something that we didn't do the first couple times we used it, and since then we've learned to do. And then also it'll help if there's any residual moisture. Sometimes, you know, things get dusty, you got to wipe them out. If there's any residual, it'll let some of that humidity bake off in there. So tip number 3, you need to turn your eggs 3 times a day. If you do not have a turner in there, you have to turn them 3 times a day. I've heard the rule when you wake up at lunchtime, and then when you go to bed, you turn your eggs if you got eggs. You have to do that for the first 18 days if you don't have an automatic turner. Now, I recommend the automatic turner, but it can be done without the automatic turner. The second part of this tip is the temp and humidity. For chickens, we like to set ours at 99.5 for the temp, and then for the first 18 days, we run our humidity somewhere between 40 and 50%. And then on day 18, we will up that to, our target is 60, and we try to not to get above 65. Through the incubation process, eggs will lose somewhere in the neighborhood of 13 to 16% of their total weight. And so by the time that day 18 comes in, they're getting pretty dry. So we try to up the humidity there so the chicks help the egg not dry out. Tip number 4 is when to candle your eggs. On a darker egg, we like to do it later, so we're somewhere in between day 9 and day 14. That's the timetable that we've candled eggs before and had some pretty good success. So when you candle eggs, the darker the egg is, the harder it is to candle that egg. Lighter eggs you can candle as early as day 7. The other tip I will tell you is when you'll know when you candle an egg and you find it viable. You'll be able to see the embryo, or at least blood vessels and things like that in there. At that point, and you find some that you're pretty sure there's nothing going on inside, go ahead and get rid of those. Then at that point, your nose will thank you later, because those eggs are probably starting the process of rotting. Okay, so for my last tip is, once you've gone through all those other steps and now you've got chicks hatching in your incubator, is how long do you leave your chicks in your incubator for? So our rule of thumb here is a 12-hour minimum, or on a smaller batch, or on a smaller hatch, I should say, until they're dry. Until they're dry to the touch. So one of the things you don't want to do is pull your chicks out too early, have them still be wet, them get chilled and cold, and then die in your brooder. So keeping them in the incubator where that environment is controlled is fine. The other thing that I've seen chicks do is help each other actually hatch. They'll sit there and peck on an egg that's pipped. They a lot of times inadvertently will assist one of their brothers or sisters get out. So that's something that we, as a rule of thumb, try to abide by. Again, if it's a smaller hatch, 3, 4, 5 eggs, once they're dry and we still think that the other eggs in there are viable, we might get in there and pull them out. Or if we've got a large group and we had some hatch the previous night and it's getting to be noon and we've got some that we want to pull out just because it's getting crowded in the incubator, we will do that as well. So those are some good rules of thumb to go ahead and get you started with incubating your own eggs. Hopefully that's something that you're wanting to try out. I can say this, it's something that if you have kids, it's awesome for them to see and understand that process, kind of see that cycle of life and when life begins, and to be there. Watching eggs hatch is one of my favorite things to do with my kids. So I hope they enjoy it as much as I do. Hopefully you'll find some enjoyment in it. So tell me what this little dude's name is in there.
Peter Potter.
Peter Potter. And you picked that name out? Yeah? Is that a name you just like, or is it just something you thought of?
It's something that I thought I was going to make it up.
Oh, you made it up. That's awesome. That's a cool name. Do you like Peter Potter? Yeah. He's pretty cool chick, isn't he?
Yep.
Thanks for coming along with us. We'll see you next time. We're out.
Okay.